Okay, top of the hour, I'll kick us off. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Fire Chat Friday with the National Fire Equipment Program. I'm Samantha Storms, the Division Chief for External Affairs here at NIFC, and really excited to have you all joining us. I'm going to turn it over to Kyle Cowan to kick us off.
All right. Hi, good afternoon or good morning, everybody. My name is Kyle Cowan. I'm the Division Chief for FA 300, which is BLM Fire Operations. So I'm one of 6 division chiefs that work for Grant and Megan. So that's kind of how our organization looks. Within FA 300 or Fire Operations, I've got 2 branch chiefs. So the what used to be the Jeff Armberger position and now the Steve Shaw position. So we've got radios and suppression kind of underneath that division. Under the suppression division or branch, we've got the engines and the smoke jumper program. So with the engines or NFEP, the National Fire Equipment Program, John Fitchner is the manager of that program. It's a really awesome thing to be associated with. It's something I'm very proud of as far as the Bureau of Land Management goes. On our engines in particular, just in the advancement of our safety features on our trucks now and the technology. So there's a reason why we drive top of the line vehicles and engines, and these guys are the reasons. So I'll turn it over to John here. Thanks.
All right. Good morning. I'm John Fitchner. I've worked in this program for over 23 years now. I've worked in nearly every capacity within the shop, aside from some of the later things that have come up since I started working here. We got a total of 9 people that work in our shop, diverse backgrounds in different areas of fire. All a bunch of great guys that do a great job at their roles. 4 people are production managers, each with different responsibilities, and so kind of different engines. Some of them do command vehicles, some do engines, some do heavy equipment. And then we also have 4 equipment specialists that their role is to assist the production managers, and they also have their own responsibilities that we'll go through throughout this presentation. You can go to the next slide, please. This is a list of the primary things that we do in our program, and we'll go more in depth as we go through this presentation. Next slide, please. We have a very informative website, our SharePoint site that contains a whole bunch of information that's pertinent to our program. And you can find the answers to a lot of questions that we tend to get by navigating through some of the features of our SharePoint site. Next slide, please. Basically, like one of the main things that we do is coordinate the ordering of equipment from beginning to end. So agency order numbers are issued from the NOC, and we have specifications for every vehicle class that we maintain, or in some cases we have to develop new specifications if we're making major changes. And then we gather the information for the orders from the field. And then step 4 on the next slide is we work with the contracting office to develop purchase orders. At first, we develop purchase requests on PRs, and then we evaluate RFQs and work with the contracting officers to create purchase orders. And then each different production manager who's ever responsible for the equipment works with the contracting to start the contractor to start producing the equipment. And then we work with the contractor throughout the process, and after they complete the vehicles, we inspect and ensure that everything meets the contract. And then do all the acceptance and notify the customer, the people in the field, that their vehicle is ready to be picked up, or in some cases gets delivered to various locations, either Nipsey or to their destination, or some things we drive. We have folks go to the facility and pick up the vehicle. Basically, kind of to summarize, it takes a whole lot of coordination with a whole lot of people in multiple agencies, in this case, because we have we're buying trucks for all DOI agencies, multiple levels of fire management, multiple folks in contracting, folks at the NOC, fleet and WCF programs, and also the contractor. License plates, we dabble with a bit, but in most cases that's handled by the local fleet manager. This is an image, the image that you see with the picture of the vehicles, that's on our website. It's kind of a summary of all the vehicles that we purchased. There's actually a few more. We're currently updating these specs, but these are kind of just summary specs that give you an idea about the truck, but it's like a 1 or 2 pager versus what the real spec is, sometimes over 100 pages. And just to give folks an idea, we have 493 vehicles in production, some phase of production right now, either the ordering process or they've been ordered and they're getting built, and we're in the process of starting to take delivery of. We have 23 classes of vehicles listed here on the left column. 4 agencies, the BIA, BLM, Fish, and National Park Service. Total of around 1,200 vehicles, valued at over $300 million. It says 293. It's somewhere in the 295 to 305 range. Currently, that previous number I gave of 493 makes up about 40% of the fleet that we deal with. So that's what we're working on right now. We've got a major workload going right now. Next slide, please. 600 class repairs. This is another thing that we recently got more involved in. The repair process has been a point of confusion. We've tried to help speed up the process by us getting involved, and we've developed a quick reference guide there's a link there, and I believe Samantha is going to provide that to folks. And basically the bottom line for this, any repair that's over $2,500, I'm involved in the approval process and help try to speed up that process, including over 10,000, which requires a purchase request and contract assistance. Contracting folks need to get involved. Basically, kind of the main point, if you want to help us help you get through this process better, follow the directions on the quick reference guide closely, and things will go a lot smoother. Recently, we've had a lot of folks are overlooking recalls and service bulletins. We recently added this, a simple like lookup tool where you put your VIN number in, so you can make sure that important safety items on your vehicle are corrected. Next slide, please. Okay, vehicle standardization. We're constantly striving to standardize our equipment. This aids, like everybody in the process, in training on equipment, operation of equipment. Folks can move from one truck to another. Repairs, we all kind of have, if everybody's got the same thing, we can identify issues that are going on with something that may require repairs or changes. And lastly, timeliness of the whole process. If we have every vehicle is different, it adds confusion for multiple steps along the way, and which includes adding time, trying to get through all that confusion. Next slide, please. A recent standardization, kind of a big standardization item is that's recently changed, is the striping standard for BLM equipment. Previously, when we were ordering vehicles, we had multiple colors, multiple arrangements of the information that goes on the vehicles. So as you can see there on the left side, that's an example of each of the different agencies. They have different nomenclature in different spots on each of the trucks and different stripe arrangement. And most obviously, the BLM truck is yellow and all the other ones are white. With the new standard on the right side, that's got the kind of details. Really, everything's in the same spot. And really, the only differences are the color of the stripe and the emblem on the door. And the next slide will show an image of, that's an example of what the future BLM Type 6 engine will look like. And basically all the equipment will follow something very similar to this. Next, I will turn this over to Jade, who's gonna do the remainder of the slides.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jade Martin. I'm a fire equipment specialist with the National Fire Equipment Program. I've been working here for just a little over 4 years. And like John said, I want to share some information on some of the equipment safety things that we have going on with the vehicles, and then highlight a few other items that our program manages and maintains. So first slide here, firefighter safety. It's always our priority number one. We do quite a bit of effort to develop and test and produce some of the safest equipment throughout the industry. Most of our vehicles, all the 600 class stuff that we provide, incorporates safety into the production process that maximizes the level of safety for operators and passengers. I want to, highlight some of the improvements that we've done on our heavy chassis. We've had 3 efforts moving forward and that have been implemented in those chassis for almost 2 years now. The first one being the side roll protection system in all heavy chassis. So what this includes is we have some Rolltech seats. We have pre-tensioning seat belts in those trucks. And then we also have side airbags for all outboard seating positions in the vehicle. The next one is our rollover protection. We currently have those in all crew cab 4-door trucks installed, and you can see a visual of that in the background. The yellow highlighted is the C pillar, then we got the B pillar of the structure in green, and then in gray is our A pillar. So that's kind of what that structure looks like inside of our crew cab chassis. And then our last step is we also did a redesign of the fire bodies to minimize crush in the event of a rollover. Here's some pictures of the completed, what it looks like, those 3 items. First picture on the left shows you a visual of those Rolltech seats that we have with the side airbag system built into them. The second picture is the structural vertical frame, and that's built into our trucks to provide that extra support in the event of rollover. And then the last picture there shows the interior of the crew cab ROPS. We're currently in development of testing out the same sort of structure for our extended cab vehicles as well. But to be able to fit that structure inside of there, we will be reducing the seating positions from 5 to support 3 personnel in those vehicles. when we did the testing of the crew cab, we did the crush testing up to 101,000 pounds is what we tested those structures to. So here's a visual on those two pictures of the right. In December of 2022, we actually had a vehicle rollover in transit from the manufacturer en route to Boise. Semi truck rolled over, causing the damage to this truck. And looking at that, I mean, the survivability level looks super low when you're seeing those pictures. But obviously on that picture on the left, there's Brent Higby. He's probably about 6 feet tall, I'll give him, sitting inside the vehicle. So it was unfortunate that we had the damage caused to this vehicle in transit. But it was really good to see that survivability space maintained inside the cab of that truck. The next item that deals with safety. So an important process in regards to safety is identifying the issues that we're having and then getting that information out to the field. We do that in 2 ways in the shop, and those are by equipment alerts and equipment bulletins. Basically, the alerts are time sensitive and they involve some critical safety information and concerns that we have. And then the bulletins are more of issues alerting you on potential problems and some suggestions to complete those repairs. Last year, we had 2 equipment alerts posted for 2023. Both of them dealt with the Ram chassis, one with engine compartment potential fires while it was parked during operation. And then the other one dealt with the Ram ASIN transmissions. We had some failures with those. And then our 1 equipment bulletin last year was for the crew carriers. There was a IHC rollover last year, and we sent some folks down to go kind of learn from the event. While we were down there, we did get some good feedback on some of the safety items that we've had put in the vehicles recently, and that was for the 3-point harness for the seat belts, and then the high backs that we provide with those seats. The personnel involved with those accidents said those were critical to reduce to have that fortunate outcome of those folks, minimizing the injuries that they've had incurred. But on the other side of it, we did realize an improvement that we can make. We identified that one of the compartments in the back, some of the fasteners came loose in that rollover, which caused the compartment to fold over, which could have injured some folks inside the cab. Fortunately, it didn't. But after we found that out, we talked with the manufacturer, created this IM, and sent out the information on our retro kit to provide some better mounting fasteners to that cabinet. Another item dealing with safety, a pretty big thing with us is tires. We get quite a few questions in our shop on there, so we just want to highlight some of the information for the field. So they're on a 6-year replacement cycle for all 600 class fire fleet vehicles. So that's based off the manufacturer's build date on the tire. So we highly recommend doing the 15, 20, 63 for all purchases over 2,500. If you're doing those for tires and it involves something that is a requirement, such as the 6-year life built into our policy for replacement, then we recommend just putting that right inside the remarks section in the 15, 20, 63. So that alleviates some of the confusion and makes some of the process going quicker if it ties something directly to our policy. Then we want to remind folks that tires that are damaged on incidents, you should be going through the process of getting those S numbers for fire replacement since the damage occurred on that incident. And then some other stuff that involves, safety on our end is the training video. So last year, NFEP made several videos. There's a list of them on the slide. We got some flow testing videos. We got some tire information stuff, some items on locking the hubs. If you haven't heard that yet, take a look at our website and we have those videos available for you. If anyone in the field has some other ideas on some things you'd like to learn about from our shop, just let us know and we'll continue on building training videos for you guys. Now going on to some of the products and programs that we oversee. The first one that we're proud about is the FEMPRs, the Fire Equipment Maintenance and Procedures Records. I think the shop has been providing these since around the late 90s. It has a ton of information on there on the procedures that you should be performing to maintain that vehicle. And then it's your avenue of maintaining the historical document and maintenance through the lifetime of the vehicle. The big announcement there is we revised these in December of the slides wrong up there, but it's actually 23. So they've just been revised. So if you're getting your truck ready, getting ready for the preparedness reviews, please take a look at that new FEMPR because we've had some updates to the fluid sampling, the vehicle repair processes, and then pump testing as well. So as mentioned in the FEMPR, fluid sampling has been added to it to kind of hopefully clarify some of the confusion that's been going on with fluid sampling. But basically, fluid sampling should be done on all the fleet over 14,000 GVW, which is the F450 and 4,500 above. We're utilizing Tribal Logic as they're set up for the government contract. So that it's basically no cost to the district and state since that contract's already in place. If you want to, there's some links in here if your states haven't done it already with getting some training from Tribal Logic itself. There's some information on the slide on who to contact for that. And then if there is any confusion on that, please reference the FEMPR. We're going to be developing, and we're in the process of developing a new IM currently, so be on the watch out for that. And then you could also contact the National Fleet Officer, Perry Coates, for additional guidance. Another program that was created and developed by NFEP is the Improvement Deficiency System. This collects improvement suggestions that you guys may have in the field, and it collects all the reports for the deficiencies on our 600 class vehicle. This is a critical avenue for us to really get feedback on the field on the trends that are occurring for the vehicles, and helps us during the design process and of our new fleet. The big change to that was last year we made it available for the BIA, Fish and Wildlife Service, and the National Park Service as well. So that's the major update on that. If you had this stored on your computer on a favorites file and you haven't updated that since last year, make sure you're doing that, or else the old system won't work and allow you to file that deficiency. Okay, the next update is on the Fuse application. Hopefully everybody's heard some stuff about that. Basically, the Fire Operations Group collects data on 17 core elements for all fire resources, and Fuse is now going to be the application portal that is engine programs going to utilize to gather that data. Everybody who's used the EUR stuff in the past, there has been some challenges with the process of submitting that data and making sure that it's accurate. So this new system was developed to replace the old ways of submitting that data and being able to see it. Fuse is up and running. We got it running February 1st of 2024. There's a couple initial steps that everybody needs to take. If you visit our SharePoint site, there's a user guide on there that'll walk you through the process. And then there's also several videos on there that shows step-by-step on how to navigate the Fuse portal. Okay, another thing that we manage is the location-based services, LBS. And this is basically our way of meeting the tracking needs and the intent of the Dingle Act. So all of our 600 class vehicles will be tracked as soon as we start up the vehicle, and then it'll take readings every 3/4 of a mile that the equipment is moving. We currently have 873 satellite terminals for the BLM. And then to be able to view that information, we utilize the SkyMira portal. And then it's the information is also submitted into the EGP Enterprise Geospatial portal. Brian Williams is the person in our shop that pretty much provides all the oversight for the location-based services. And then the last program that I really wanted to highlight involves vehicle disposal. NFEP is pretty proud of being able to be a part of this and this streamlined process to transfer firefighting equipment to the local cooperators. Basically, our part on this is reviewing all the vehicles that are in the system and seeing what's available, and then sending that information out to the states. So I think it's it's a good way of getting those local cooperators, those partners, good equipment so they can benefit the BLM's wildland firefighter mission. Since the program started, we've had 80 vehicles transferred through the process, and we currently have 26 vehicles that are funded and awaiting replacement, awaiting that replacement vehicle to complete that transfer process. So that's the end of our updates. Samantha, we're good to go with any questions anyone might have.
So far, we don't have any questions in the chat, but thank you, John and Jade, for an awesome presentation. Certainly, I always told them as we were prepping for this that there is a ton of work being done by the National Fire Equipment Program that so many people in the field may or may not know how it impacts them or what part of the program it touches. So really appreciate you sharing that with all of us. We welcome questions in person too. So if folks want to unmute or raise your hand, happy to answer questions that way. Or if anyone wants to drop a question in the chat, you're welcome to do that too. We'll give the awkward little pause to see if anybody lobs something out there. Okay, well, the links that John and Jade mentioned throughout their presentation are all in the chat. Oh, good. I knew we could count on someone. Here they come. The links are in the chat, and then we will send out the recording for this as well, and I'll make sure to include those too. But we do have one question here. Are there any plans in the CO to acknowledge that inflation exists and raising the $2,500 limit?
I could address that one. We've discussed it with the fleet manager, Perry Coates, and basically it's government-wide policy and not likely to change unless it goes government-wide.
And to Sandy's question about, can you have the slides? Yes, we'll include that with the recording as well. So folks have those links and the slides that were mentioned. And Royce, I agree, excellent presentation. Any other questions? Are we doing all fluids for oils fluids in the auxiliary pump unit on our Type 3 engines?
Once the new version of the IM comes out, that will be addressed. And yes, not all fluids, but like the auxiliary pump motor is included. And there's different guidelines that are going to be addressed in the new IM that will make it a little bit clearer than the current IM. Hopefully.
Other questions? Like I said, you can raise your hand, unmute. Here's one, John. For location-based services, seems that DART and NIFC ArcGIS did not show all of the BLM assets last fire season. Will all 800, 900 assets be available to view for the upcoming season?
I'm gonna have to research that question and get back to you.
Okay, I'll grab that one and we'll pull it out to make sure we can follow up. If you want to, whoever sent that in, your name doesn't show up, but if you want to drop me a message on Teams or in here, we can make sure to get you an answer directly. And then Forrest asked, can BPA be used to repair over 10,000?
Basically, I revert, if it's a contracting question, and I leave it up to the contracting folks that are handling it. I don't want to overstep my boundaries on telling a contracting officer what they can and can't do. It seems like there's lots of different interpretations of contracts, rules and regulations from different contracting folks. So I leave it to the contracting folks that are dealing with it. That's kind of my advice.
And I would think that same advice applies to the last question that came in about routine repairs and the $2,500 limit and navigating the PR process.
Can you repeat it? We don't have.
You can't see them. Okay. Also for routine repairs, just over $2,500 limit, do we have to find 3 quotes for the PR process? At times it's difficult to get. And when we do find shops, they want to charge 2 hours of labor to inspect, give a quote, which then in turn feels like we're stepping over quarters to pick up pennies. That's a direct quote.
That's a common issue. I'll tell you what I typically recommend to folks. If you have one quote and you are thinking that it's going to be a big problem to get another quote, black out the prices on the quote that you got, send it to other vendors and try to get them. If nobody's responsive, basically tell the story, document the issue when you're filling out the 152063. And if you have a good story that documents a good reason why you can't get it, it was, for instance, you're broke down in Beatty, Nevada or something, and there's no good options. I mean, there's only one shop. That's a good justification, right? Like, but that justification is not going to necessarily hold up if you're in Boise, Idaho, or Salt Lake City, where you're in a big metro area where there's tons of options. Then you need to be getting multiple quotes. And along that same line, kind of BLM fleet policy kind of guides towards using OEM facilities for repairs to ensure that you're getting all the updated computer updates, recall information or recall issues are being corrected. So honestly, I see quite a few of in my check and when I'm going through the process of looking at a vehicle repair, sometimes if I have questions, I'll look up the VIN and see if it has open recalls, and I'll find, oh, this vehicle has 5 open recalls. It's never been to the dealer its whole life. So that's why that's important.
Super helpful. I think we have a follow-up. D Luma, you can unmute. I see your hand raised.
Yeah, I am in the Salt Lake City area, and it's still a difficult process because when we go to these shops, they want to look at the engine. Now I'm paying them $500 for 2 more shops. That's $1,000 to look at the engine to find out one shop's going to be $300 less. It's not cost effective. And even though I'm in the metro area, it doesn't matter. The competition's all charging the same. It's not, we're not finding savings. We've done all the tricks, blacking out quotes, things like that, and they'll either not respond, come up or want us to look at the engine. And a lot of times this length of process, we have one engine that the process took so long that when it did get approved, the shop already used the parts because they're not going to wait on us. They don't care. And then that engine sat so long, seals dried up on it because it sat in the shop yard for so long, or another shop yard, that now it requires more repairs. We're just not, this limit is really holding us. And I know it's not you guys making the limit, but I mean, is there anybody like really fighting to get this changed?
Well, like I mentioned, it's the government wide. I mean, it would be changing it for the Department of Defense. I mean, it's like a massive amount of folks that would affect. So it's going to be like real high up folks that are going to have to make a change to that. And yeah, I don't know a good solution to the problem.
Or at least a solution on the quote side is just, you know, I've explained it in the story and still gotten phone calls like, oh, just go get the quotes anyways. And then cost the money. Like, is there any way we can just give a little more leeway on this quote process too?
So that again isn't really our rule. That's more like FAR, Federal Acquisition Regulations. That's where the rule comes from, and we're doing our due diligence to get it done according to policy and rules. I can tell you, I've had people tell me, we can't get another quote. There's no place else that'll do this work. Recently, I had one with a $6,000 quote. They told me there's no place else that could do it. I guided them to a place that could do it, and it was done for under $2,000. So it is effective in many cases. I'd say your best bet using OEM as one of your quotes is a good big help. I mean, if it's OEM, we're confident that they're a valuable resource that can do the job right. I forgot where I was going with it. It's just, it's due diligence. But what we see a lot of times is there'll be, folks don't treat it as if it was their own money. Like if you were making a $12,000 repair on your vehicle or a $10,000 repair, most likely if it was your own money, you would be shopping around and making sure that you're getting good value for your money versus just saying, this is the easy route, we got to get it done.
We definitely have some shared sentiments in the chat. Good explanations, John. And Brian, thanks so much for closing out the LBS question. And the shout out from Aaron Thompson, totally agreed. Lots of great innovation coming from the equipment shop. Are there other questions for folks in the audience? All right, I gave it the long pause. I hope that everyone has an awesome weekend. John, do you have any final sentiments you want to share?
No, I can't think of anything. Thanks for having us, and thanks for the questions, and thanks for, it looks like pretty good interest.
Yeah, solid turnout on a Friday. I always love to see that. Everyone have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time.